It's Deck Days at Lowe's, and the savings are stacked. Right now, pros get 15% off all in-stock composite decking from top brands like Trex, TimberTech, and Decorators. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt tool. The deck's stacked in your favor with brands pros trust. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. With us is Steve Cates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky. And he expands our minds on a Sunday morning, but he's also on from midnight to 2 o'clock on Friday night and Saturday night, which is Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Well, Steve Cates, what do you got for us on a Sunday morning?
Well, good morning. Happy Sunday, John. Lots of exciting topics. Many people may be wondering what's next after that epic success with NASA's Artemis II. John, what they were going to do, now they're going to change the entire schedule to get to the moon. Artemis III was supposed to be the one that lands, but now, John, Artemis III will be a test flight in orbit as hopefully either SpaceX or Jeff Bezos' company build the next lunar lander. They don't have these ready yet. So that mission, which should take place sometime around mid-2027, you have to test this stuff before you land on the moon, because Starship, Elon Musk event that he's building, or item, is called the HLS, the Human Landing System. It's tall, John. It's 172 feet high, and it doesn't have those big wide legs like the Apollo lander. And Jeff Bezos' one is called the Blue Moon. It's shorter by 52 feet, but it looks like it has more of those landing, legs like a spider leg. So we hope that eventually with Artemis IV, humans may get to the moon by maybe sometime late 2028.
You know, we learned something a couple of years ago, Steve Cates. Me and you learned it, and that you shouldn't have something that lands on the moon that is easily capable of tilting over.
You said it so well, John. Absolutely. Take a look, ladies and gentlemen, in your mind's eye, or take a look at pictures. The lunar lander had these wide separated legs. Now, this is not to knock the people at, SpaceX, but if you're talking about a 172-foot tall vehicle, which has a very small surface on the bottom, you're right, John. Many of the Apollo landings didn't land on flat ground. Apollo 15 landed on maybe a 12 or 15-degree incline, but those wide legs helped them land safely. So I think they have to work the bugs out, but just in case people are concerned, Artemis 3 is not landing on the moon. It's going to test the landers once they build them in Earth orbit before we go on.
Well, look forward to that one. And, I hope me and you live long enough to see them land on Mars.
I hope so, John, and maybe being very optimistic, but always honest, that may not happen if they're delaying lunar lander. We have to get that technology, some say mid-30s, 2030s, and that might be optimistic, indeed.
Indeed.
Well, here we go out to the deep universe, John. Cosmology is the study of the creation of the universe. And astronomers have lots of opinions, but here's one. Someday, many say, sadly, the universe will rip apart. Well, how can it last so long? Something in nature, John, that we don't understand is called dark energy. And this is a strange yet unknown force in the universe that has kind of a repulsive force. So, according to these cosmologists, one day, with the increased amount of this dark energy, we may find out that the universe does itself a disservice and separates. Another phenomenon that they're talking about is called phantom dark energy. What's that? An even greater negative force in the universe. So, John, as we all know, nothing lasts forever. How about that?
Well, nothing lasts forever except the universe, because we're not going to be around to see it not last.
Absolutely, John. And now we go to the mystery of the week. And here we go. This one's even the most bizarre one we could talk about. The question is time an illusion? Because, John, physics equations do not specify a present moment, like you and I are talking as people are hearing this. But the flow of time is a construct that many believe is simply created inside of our brain. Now, how does that make any sense? The big force in the universe is gravity, and Einstein proved this, John, that gravity warps time. So the whole thing Maybe everything that we see in this world, as far as time, it sounds crazy, but it may also be an illusion, and that's the stuff that we have to figure out in what's called quantum physics.
Well, that is something. I mean, tell us, Steve Cates, has anything else come out on the other side of the moon? Anything they saw or anything unusual?
Yes, John, they saw something very interesting. A lot of times when people, of course, flew those lunar missions on Apollo, they were too close to the surface of the moon. But these astronauts on Artemis II, they planned it so they'd fly about 4,000 miles above the moon. John, they actually saw impacts, flashes of light on the far side of the moon, meaning in the darker regions. That's incredible, and it goes to testify for this problem. If they could visualize seeing those items strike the surface of the moon and flash up, that tells us that when we build habitation on the moon, not to scare anybody who's a future astronaut, but we have to have some kind of habitation module. Even a small rock the size of a pebble, John, even smaller, could penetrate an astronaut spacesuit. And then God help us when we have the ones the size of vehicles and even bigger ones that create these giant craters. So they saw something unusual when they went through that far side of the moon. That's amazing.
Well, the one thing they're not telling us about is if the astronauts traveling for 8 months, 9 months to Mars, if they can take that much radiation.
You know, John, that's a big one. And there's NASA people on this particular mission. They flew slightly in the outer areas of the Van Allen belt where radiation exists. But the truth is, we have a long way to go with biomedicine and, of course, space medicine to determine how to shield the spacecraft and make it on those long-duration missions. Because what happens, John, if a mega solar flare blasts out, we have to be prepared for the excess, not just a certain mid-level of radiation. And that's a big challenge. That's something we have to overcome.
Thank you, Steve Cates, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, John. Have a great Sunday, and to the listeners, have a good morning.